Whoa, we're on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
What's up?
What's up?
Hey. Hi, everyone. What's up, John42? He sent us really cute pictures of his kitties and his pupperdo.
Cool.
His light gray pupperdo. Where were those? I'll show you those real quick because they're super cute.
Oh, these cats. I saw you look at these earlier when I was in the council.
So yeah, John for Juice here. Pandemonium is here. Nicely done. Robert Lyle is here. Ida Steam, Joseph Piano, it's Dr. Coffin Nails, Greg Kirby, the James Baker, Donkey Source, Rex, Raging Rhino's here. Saw you earlier over on that author Stephen Walton's channel earlier.
He's on the night council too.
Movie Off Productions, AK. Doxiama82 and all you other wonderful people in the chat and elsewhere. If you're just joining us, make sure OK John Boom and JetSpark7373 are here now. Atechi-san. So welcome everybody. Welcome to the Mindless Mob. Make sure you press the like button if you haven't done so already. Definitely do those things. We already have a couple super chats that I'd like to address because we care. So the first one coming in, they're actually, you guys are too chatty, so I can't even highlight them. Got to go into my studio. It's from Emily, or better known as Beth. Says, Jesse, it's Beth. I sent you an email. Please read. Do not mention anything in the email. Just read it. Love you. Love you too. We love you too, Beth/Emily. Bemily. So I did try to remod her and hopefully that worked. I'm just checking in the chat to see if the name pops in anywhere. Not seeing it yet, but hopefully that works now. And then Greg Kirby asks, how's the cat? Great question, Greg Kirby. She pancake. Ashley just went in for a checkup today and he is somewhere. Where is he? Oh, he's on your, he's sleeping on your computer. It does. And he is alive, but whatchamacallit. Yeah, so it seems to be healing well. There was still gunk in his ear, so they gave him another ear flush. They put some more antibiotics in it because he still has inflammation and stuff around his eye. That little inner lid is up. So there's still time. They're still, working on healing from this operation. So we're still, well pre knowing if he's going to need the other one or not. I don't know how quickly these things regrow, if and when they do. So I don't know when that's going to be a thing. We never know. But anyway, if you are interested in helping out, I am still running a GoFundMe for the kitty poo because we may need a very, very expensive second surgery, even though I'm still working with the first one. So if you can share the link with anyone, and if you can give it all, that's amazing. So yeah, that is the She Pancake update. Okay, there it went. I was like, it didn't look at that. Chef looks ready to talk about Ahsoka Tano. Is that true? Are you ready to discuss?
No, never.
So if you were with us at the end of the last stream on World Class Bullshitters, they were getting into the Mandalorian quite a bit there for a little while, and it was neat. Broken Link, is this okay? Let's try this again.
I like how print campaign is an option. I mean, I get why it's there, but I just think it's kind of funny where it's like an actual option. Like people that know how to set it up wouldn't know how to just go to print.
Right.
Or whatever. Like, it's like, here, this is an extra step. It's like,
why?
Thank you. I get it, but.
So here is the unbroken link for those who want it.
You know what? I knew I liked Raging Rhino first.
Just like The Force Awakens, Grogu's backstory is not good and breaks more lore. I'm really interested in Rhino's take right about now.
Did you read the second?
Yeah,
okay,
yes, I did. Yes, I did. That's what I'm hearing a lot of from people who are into Clone Wars. Actually, is that Ahsoka's behavior is not consistent with her character across the board. And from things like this, first I'm hearing someone make that comment, which totally valid, as well as the other side of things where people are saying she seems to have weirdly embraced the Jedi in a way that she was never comfortable with anywhere in Clone Wars. So also, what's up, Nina? It was cool to meet you earlier too. So I saw you. Just want to shout you out. I saw you there in the chat.
Was that from Steven's stream?
Mm-hmm.
Those two dudes, the one that didn't show his face, and the guy was in the top part with the beard, he was like talking about, it's like, oh, I'm going to reach out to you guys. I'm like, yeah, reach out. I actually want to stream with those guys. They were really cool.
They were a lot of fun.
They were the ones that would always make points. I was like, no, I'm not on the stream. I'm not on the stream.
I made sure I followed the guy who does the dump stream. He was blanket inviting all of us on. So I made sure I followed him back on Twitter so we can.
I'm also glad that Mark with a C was there. I always like his take.
Yeah, he's so cool.
I wish he did more because he's so genuine.
I know.
Like, how does I know he's just got a life. I get it. But like, I wish he just had the time to produce more shit.
I feel like Mark with a C was like one of the very first Fandom Menace fans to get a character of his own, you know? Like, he was someone we all knew about. Like, he was one of the first people that, like, people in the fandom recognized from chat to chat to chat. Oh, that guy Mark with a C. The Gospel Mark with a C. And then he started, being the Gospel Mark with a C. And, the Twitter did all that shit with Abenas. And those guys all started with their thing. It was like, it's just so funny to be hearing him be like, oh my God, you guys, and all this great shit, where it's like, we've known about you almost as long as you know about us, Like,
they're super nice. Like, I think all the dudes in the Dark Council, like, alone are great, but I think together they have just this uniqueness. But I think Mark being more, like, philosophical on certain things sometimes will get lost. Cool when he pops up independently because he gets to
that's what's
I dig it.
So neat about the Dark Council in general is that it is like that. It's like the and you can actually say the same for your podcast as well. Where like them together has one identity, but each individual on their own doing their own videos have their own great takes.
I'd love for the guys to start doing that.
Yeah,
that would help me out. But no, I think once Kendo everything normalizes for him. I think Kendo and Dion obviously too, but I think they would produce some really interesting takes that nobody else would have, like maybe Ethan and I might approach this, V for Vendetta the same way because we both know it as a book, besides the movie and stuff like that. But those guys wouldn't have the same takeaways. And it's kind of fun to think about that because I think the last thing anyone wants to become is redundant. So when you have new ways to approach all these topics, I think you can find a way to actually talk about the same topics forever. Just new ways to look. You can't keep harping on the one or 2 points.
Agreed.
You got to deeper.
Interesting thing. I'm noticing something from the chat though. I think it was Falcon Apoda who said something about people wanted to criticize Ahsoka, even though Dave Filoni wrote this episode and he basically created Ahsoka and all this stuff. That by that logic, we're not allowed to criticize anything George Lucas did in the prequels because he created Star Wars. So he created Darth Vader. So if we don't like his take on young Anakin, then we should shut the fuck up because we have no right to criticize since he knows better. Like it's not
a valid one.
It's not valid logic because it's been an existing thing in IPs for forever that creators betray their own source material. In fact, well before she was ever referenced as potentially being a part of the Mandalorian, I heard tons of fans of the Clone Wars bemoan Filoni's treatment of Ahsoka, saying that she was the greatest character he created, and he became too attached and overutilized her and refused to kill her off when it made logical sense because he got too attached. And he would do that. How often do we see filmmakers fall into the those traps, of their own self-indulgences? But by your logic, you can't ever criticize a character's decision in a movie, even if it feels completely wrong based on the character that was set up for us all movie long, because, well, the person who created it wrote that character. And there's, okay, well, great. Let's tell the world the movie critics are obsolete now. We'll just go tell them all to retire because we figured it out. Creators have the ultimate ownership over their creations, clearly, and fans have no input. Wow, way to go. You figured it out. Shut down all of our channels. Tell all the critics. Creators are the end all be all, and we shouldn't say jack shit. So I guess I'll go find something else to do with my life. I mean, that's the most ridiculous straw man argument I've ever heard. Anyway, Greg Kirby says Rosario Dawson nailed as Ahsoka Tano. People are screaming about her tentacles. Meh. Cara Dune made Mando terrible. I couldn't disagree more. I actually love Cara Dune's character. My issue with the tentacles is literally if I can see the creases in the foam you used to make this, when you're talking about what was previously one of the highest budget looking television shows ever made, I have problems, and that's a legitimate problem. Those criticisms are legitimate. The fact that the CGI looks slipshod and terrible, I've seen video games that look better than that at points. The fact that they overdid the CGI over top of Rosario Dawson's face in half the scenes she was in, to the point where you barely actually see the beautiful actress behind it, and you lose all of her expressiveness, and all of whatever she's trying to convey with this very muted delivery is completely lost because all the micro expressions are gone under the CGI. So look, if you like that version, like anyone who saw that and was like, oh my God, yes, Ahsoka, and I love this. I'm thrilled for you. I'm totally thrilled for. I'm happy if you liked it, and I take nothing away from that. And if you got what you finally wanted and a good live action take of Ahsoka, wonderful. All right, but I'm going to get into the really important part here in a minute, and this is the part you guys need to really keep in mind as you're carrying on with your commentaries, because the whole thing is you're allowed to like the show. You're allowed to like whatever the fuck you want. You are allowed to say, fuck it, I don't give a shit if it's doing these good or bad things. And I like it anyway. That's totally fine. But you guys are part of the mindless mob, and I will not allow you to just carry on and not at least acknowledge or examine the truth behind what's happening. You can choose to like whatever you want. Look, if one of you guys came here and says like, I like a movie that's total woke garbage. If one of you came here and was like, Ghostbusters 2016 is my favorite movie ever. I know it's woke trash, but I don't care. I enjoy it. A+ power to you. But if you want to come in here and say Ghostbusters 2016 is the best movie ever, and if anyone says it differently, they're idiots because they don't understand, how it's really better Ghostbusters than the original Ghostbusters, then shut the fuck up, because that's just an opinion and you have no business asserting it, as if it's fact. That's the issue here. The issue is not whether you like it or don't, whether you agree or don't. The issue is how you're going to go treating other people who now suddenly disagree with you, now that all of a sudden Disney is spoon-feeding you exactly what you wanted all along, and other people are being left out. Now, are you going to be the people? Are you going to be the same people going, ha, this is what I wanted, fuck all the rest of you? Are you going to do the exact same shit that Lucasfilm did to the fans after The Last Jedi? Are you going to be those people? Or are you going to acknowledge, hey, I love this. I'm thrilled that I'm getting all of my Clone Wars member berries in this shit, but I also can maybe realize how jam-packing in a TV show that previously had nothing to do with the Clone Wars or Rebels and is now chock full of characters from that might be a little off-putting to other Star Wars fans or regular people who don't have a history or passion for the Clone Wars. Maybe think about that. Maybe think about that for a fucking second before you run around shoving in everyone's fucking face how great these episodes are and how cool all this stuff is and how you just don't understand how great Ahsoka is. Maybe I just don't like her as much as you do. Did you ever fucking consider that? I have no problem with how much any of you want to like Ahsoka, as long as you don't have a problem with how much I don't give a shit about her. If it's a problem for you that I don't give a shit about Ahsoka, fall off a bridge. Because it is not a problem for me that you love her. It is not a problem for me that Jeremy keeps a figure of her on his desk and probably his bedside and probably jacks off every day thinking about her. That is not a problem for me. So if it is a problem for you that I just don't give a shit about the character, what the fuck are you doing here? Because it's all about disagreements and having different opinions and being able to respect those opinions. I get why a bunch of you guys are on board with this shit, and I respect that. I'm fine with it. But stop acting like fucking jackasses because some of us don't like it. Stop being Last Jedi fans about this shit. Seriously. It's not a good look. Anyway. Okay. So where were we? All that said, Greg Kirby, I love you to death no matter what. And I mean to just leave that up there to make it look like I was yelling at you this whole time. Aw, Beth says my kitten is up our Christmas tree chewing on it. Ours were out in the hallway hiding under the one that's decorating our hall now. She pancake underneath it, running in. I'm literally He's running in circles underneath it, hiding. He's figured out how to hide. He's such a little brat, and I love it.
I haven't even seen the tree yet.
So thank you, Beth. We'll go and take a look. I shall probably put up the one downstairs tomorrow.
I like that our building manager does all this extra shit. And
I love it too because I think she puts up a Happy Hanukkah thing somewhere, but as you'll notice, just in general, the downstairs tree, although usually I feel like it's even a silver tree upstairs, maybe, but the downstairs tree is the more traditional, like red and green, like Christmas color decorations, and the upstairs tree is more like blue and silver and like Hanukkah colors. So it's really nice. But yeah, no, it's gorgeous. I love that too. It's fucking the holidays. It's everyone can get in the spirit no matter what.
Notice though, companies aren't getting shit on for saying Merry Christmas. We watched some company during the football game had an
Their
ad.
ad was
It
basically
it literally just said "Merry Christmas" at the end of it, and nobody batted an eyelash. And thank God we're past that shit.
Exactly.
You don't fucking celebrate Christmas? Okay, cool. I do. If somebody wants to say Happy Festivus, awesome. Happy Festivus to you too, sir.
Board Pork says Kevin Smith's podcast last night defended Rosario Dawson on the transphobic nonsense, but threw shade at Gina for being on Parler. Shake my head.
Kevin Smith is biased because he's worked with Rosario Dawson before. He always makes excuses for every actor he works with. Go back and listen to his take on Ben Affleck as Batman the day it got announced. Oh, that movie's going to be $2 billion and this and that and the other. He is he's just biased. It's hard to go because you watch Kevin Smith get old and jaded and cynical and lose it. And the sad part is he doesn't know it yet, but everyone else does. So it's like, we get it. You were this pop culture god. And a lot of people like myself bought into it, but just you became what you wanted to fight, or maybe you wanted to become all along. And now you're here and you're happy, but like you're not where the audience put you. Makes sense. So I don't know any of the transphobic nonsense with Rosario Dawson. To you?
I don't know what happened about that, but the hypocrisy doesn't surprise me in the slightest bit.
I just look at like, hey, if I'm going to judge The Mandalorian, like here's the thing. We're able to critique the show on the show's merit. I don't know whatever happened in the real world with Rosario Dawson. It's not relevant to the show.
And here's the thing too. It's like there were the things I didn't like about Ahsoka being in this. Yet there were parts I expected to not like. But there were things I didn't like about Ahsoka being in this that I was expecting to like. Such as Rosario Dawson just being Ahsoka. I didn't feel like I got enough. It's Rosario Dawson. We were just watching scenes from some of the Avengers movies and commenting on what a great job they did compositing Mark Ruffalo and the Hulk as one entity. How like previously the Hulk has always been an image on his own, and the actors just turn into whatever that looks like and is supposed to look like. And this is the first time you actually had attention taken to trying to make a Hulk really look both genuinely like the Hulk and also remind you of the actor playing him. And that's what I think Ahsoka needed to do with someone like Rosario Dawson. You can't hide her underneath the character because she in her own right has so much life. And part of the reason why people were clamoring to have her play Ahsoka was because she so organically already looked the part, felt the part, sounded the part, not necessarily sounded, but seemed the part. Like there was just she had the presence and she had just the body, the face, the features on the face. And it just seems ridiculous and counterintuitive to do so much work to cover up and hide those things that already made her so inherently perfect for the role. Like, what are you thinking here?
It's like putting Christian Bale in a fat suit to play Batman.
Exactly. Why? Especially because it's Christian Bale. Just ask him to do whatever you want him to do with his body, and he'll fucking do it.
By tomorrow.
Exactly. By yesterday. So
I would love to be an executive because I kind of think certain things he's done is douchey. They're like, all right, for this role, we need you to look like this, this, and that. And then he shows up on the set. We're like, oh, sorry, we meant that for Christian somebody else. Like,
or be like, oh crap, we actually changed. Nobody told you about the schedule change. We actually moved those scenes to the end of production, and now we need the ones where you're overweight in the beginning.
So that's put you in a fat suit.
Whoops, that would be hilarious.
He's like, I can't do it again. I almost had a heart attack playing Dick Cheney. I'm like, well, just like the real Dick Cheney.
I guess we're just getting way too method about it.
Dude, don't kill yourself for the role.
Oh my god, please! It's not that important, really. And
if you're gonna die playing Batman.
Right,
not the vice president who shot a guy with buckshot
in the face.
He's a dickhole.
Because his name is literally Dick.
What's so funny is he is like one of those people you could just like a bad guy you can kind of like punch on, and no one gets offended or like, Dick Cheney.
He is an evil man,
bastard. Okay, no one bats an eyelash.
Most people are in agreement. Yeah. He is an evil man.
He is a bastard.
Shay Nat says Hamill is in Wizards, and I want my shirt back, Jeff. Yeah. Best rant was Jess over The Last Jedi. Well, thank you. I appreciate you. Greg Kirby says, that's how I feel about Cara Dune. Ha ha ha. Hey, like I said, we are totally entitled to feel polar opposites about this thing. So like I said, I'm going to catch up on some of these stupids, and I'll get into really the why, because while one thing is true, yes, the show has two identities, like Jeff is fond of saying, and one of them is this new unattached thing that's unrelated to any Star Wars that's come before it, and only tangentially tied into the universe just in enough ways to make it feel like Star Wars. And then you have this other thing where it wants to, like everything else in the Disney Star Wars sphere, be tied in with every single body part to the main timeline, to the Skywalker saga, as it were. And so some people now suddenly who didn't like this before like it now because those tie-ins are the tie-ins they wanted all along. So that's the seed I'm going to plant while I go through the super chats, because that's sort of the thesis that most of you guys, Mindless Mob's a pretty clever bunch. You're probably going to get to some of these conclusions before I do, before I'm able to vocalize them. So just to plant that little seed. But I love you, Greg Kirby, and totally respect the hell out of the fact that you and I are going to see completely different. We're not going to see eye to eye on the show at all. But I'm still going to think you're a cool dude, and you're going to hopefully still watch. Gobi Warrior Go Home says, tell us how you really feel, Jesse. Ha ha, ha 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 ha. Haha. That's one I've heard all my life. And I'm always like, this is such a stupid phrase to have exist in the first place. Because what the fuck are regular people going around not saying how they really feel all the time? Like, who are these people that are just going around being like, I mean, I know they exist. You see them all the time who are going, let me like measure and think about it's just fucking say it. Jesus Christ, no one's killed me yet. I've been running my mouth for how many years? And no one has killed my dumb ass. So if no one shot me down for just saying what I fucking feel.
They're coming to arrest you right now.
Has perfect timing. I'm pretty sure you're going to be all right. But thank you, Sean. Thank you so much for the super chat, Sean. Cheers to you, even though it's not booze. Speaking of, though, let me know when you want to come back on Thirsty Thursday, because we miss you over there, man. 007 Cloud says, whoa, you've been watching Berserk? Nope.
No, that's that weird body one we watched when we were really fucked up, where the guy the thing bit his teeth up. The teeth bit the guy's hand off. He was stuck in the thing's mouth inside that weird body with the horse eye.
No.
We watched it when we were fucked up.
I believe you, but I don't remember. Apparently, yes, we have been watching Berserk.
Not happened. We watched it once.
Jordan D says, what I really want to see was Ahsoka having a Clone Wars flashback with Hayden's Anakin and Ewan's Obi-Wan. That would have been awesome. I'm in it for Sky Guy's return. I am Gaiden for Hayden.
The only thing is, why does that get put in The Mandalorian, though? Why would you like dedicate? I love the concept.
Oh yeah, I don't think he's necessarily saying it had to be in The Mandalorian. I think he just that's how he would have wanted to see it. So
no, but I'm just saying, like,
actualized.
But but where would you put that though? Is what I'm trying to get at. Like, what Star Wars property does that fit? Because Clone Wars is its own entity, and it's always been animated and kind of just been accepted as this thing.
Well, I mean, you and I talked about things like 40 and this, that, and the other. What about a pilot short? Just a pilot. A flashback in there that somehow plants the seeds of where she is today, that's going to spin off her own show. Like, that's the whole thing that I don't get. Like, why did they feel the need to plant all these spin-offs in The Mandalorian?
That's what I'm trying to say about like Ahsoka in general. Like,
exactly. Like, until
do this, why would
what the Arrowverse was the show that is the thing that does that, right?
Yeah.
They always have like, the character comes in, but outside of that, that's never how shit went. They did that a little bit in Marvel, but they weren't dedicated to that. Fucking Iron Fist boy doesn't show up until his show, They don't, not everything had crossover, or we have to, tease this character before they fucking show up. Just fucking launch a show. You want to do it, you're sitting here trying to, like, get, like, excitement for the Cassian Andor series when most people can barely remember the character's fucking name. That's the show you want to have a tie-in to, like you already technically do, because he's already just a spin-off.
That's where a Clone Wars flashback would work.
Sure.
He is a fucking cardboard cutout character.
Yes.
The Mandalorian, they thought was a cardboard cutout character, but he had an identity and we all attached to it.
Exactly.
So that's why there's this disconnect. Because
yes.
he is not just this generic cipher for the world of Star Wars because he looks like Boba Fett. He has become his own thing. We've learned about him. We've seen his face. We've learned about even though he may be more of an extreme Mandalorian zealot, we're still learning about him. He's our main character.
Exactly.
You don't make Captain Marvel the star of Endgame.
Which, by the way, is the thing that pisses me off about this, because so much fun of the first one was learning about the way the Mandalorian lore, or so we thought, existed in this part of the universe. And all we've gotten so far this season is, oh, hey, by the way, you're doing it all wrong. And then no other, like, No new discoveries, no new revelations. Every like last season, we had him getting pieces of the Beskar armor and the Mudhorn as the insignia, and we're addressing the taking the helmet off thing and a certain other his childhood. We had all this recurring flashbacks.
It was such a good show.
It was rich. It was building towards something. Then it just feels like you spent an entire season building towards something that now, because Kathleen Kennedy stuck her stupid nose in, you're not paying off any of the shit you built. You're now just planting new seeds that you can go pay off elsewhere because Kathleen Kennedy is too fucking insecure to just launch a show on her own because she knows her name means jack shit right now. So her only shot of getting people on board with the new face of Star Wars is to try to get the one good property to crap it out on the side. Fuck you, Kathleen
I just
Kennedy.
don't know why she couldn't just have her name on it and step the fuck away and go, I did that too.
Right.
And then they were like, oh shit, maybe you weren't that bad.
Also, Jordan, I am Gaiden for Hayden too, so join the club.
No, you only could be Gaiden for the Hayden that was unrendered.
Yeah, that's true. When we saw him in Super 4K, I was like, oh my god, he's not.
It was like, I was trying to explain to the Tom. At first, they thought it was because of the render. I mean, they didn't get it that they didn't finish the model. They kept saying it was technology.
Yeah, I'm like, no. They just literally, because they knew in the what scale you were going to see it in, you wouldn't be able to tell. They just didn't finish building the face. It looks like the polygons in a Smash Bros.
The Super Polygon team.
Exactly.
Like, no one expected to have a theater in your living room.
Exactly.
In 2002. I can't not. I'm just saying it's funny.
It's funny. It's hilarious. Pan Daemonium says, actually love the last episode except the fight choreography. Thank you! This season has been marred by incessant callbacks, but episode 5 finally managed to make it feel like an organic connection. So, I will give you that I personally felt like Ahsoka's connection to this universe felt more organic than like when Bo-Katan and the other Mandalorians showed up.
Because I hate when like the character introduced themselves like, "Hi, audience, this is who I am, and I'm cool because I kind of look like Boba Fett." Like, there is inherently a problem with everything that one design.
Yes,
because it looks cool. But it just enough, cashes. Like, it's enough, and it just cashes in on that one thing that they created 40 years ago.
Exactly.
It's almost tiresome because they basically write into a story how everything can look the same forever. But this show actually did it well, where you had so many different styles of Mandalorian armor, different classes. You had the big guy played by Jon Favreau. You had the woman who was the armor with the cool fucking horns. Now the women have different shapes and stuff. Like, they built this rich world on its own before we needed to go back to this shit.
And here's the thing, the more like bright blue colors and stuff on their armor and the way their outfits are designed to, be more reminiscent of the animated show looks stupider and chintzier and less lived in Star Wars than the Mandalorian aesthetic we got. Which is why it's so dumb now, especially because you guys got to remember, think about it. Think about if you're not a Clone Wars person, you have gotten attached to the Mandalorian, you are getting into the certain type of lore, and then all of a sudden, a couple episodes into the next season, some rando person that you have no frame of reference for just shows up, tells you why everything you've already learned is wrong, and then dips back out without further elaboration. Like, you gotta look at this from outside of your own lens of yay Clone Wars shit. Because
those people are not doing that.
Exactly.
And that's the problem.
And like, again, it's totally fine if you want to have that realistic perspective, but say, I don't care because I like it. I like the Clone Wars shit. I'm glad I get my member berries in here, but just have the perspective. But thank you, Pandemonium, for just the fight choreography was absolute dog shit. And to me, that like you can't have a good samurai style episode if your choreography is not there. That is your narrative. That is your story. The skills of the two fighters matched against each other. After that, like, okay, Ahsoka won. I have no frame of reference for this other woman's skills as a fighter. Like, was Ahsoka toying with her? Were they really evenly matched? Was it a hard fight for Ahsoka? Did she not break a sweat? Like, what's the deal here? Like, I should know that in any other, even shitty kung fu movies, you have fights with better communication of the story than in that episode. There is no fucking excuse for that. It should be better, especially as I'm learning on the High Council just now that this Asian woman in this is a fucking black belt and a high in demand stunt choreographer for film. And you bother to pay this woman to be on your show. Why don't you fucking use her? Why? Anyway, Stratos Radio is also, if you're just joining us, guys, make sure you press the like button because we have over 100 people watching. We do not have 100 likes yet. So we could have that happen right now if everyone presses the like button. You guys are awesome. I'm fired up. Jeff's fired up. This is an awesome stream. I'm having a great time. Stratos Radio Blue says, brand loyalty is the game here. It's weird seeing fans defend all aspects of a property while being unpaid for it. I blame the influencer generation. It's a great point. And I think you're very right in who you're pointing the blame at. Is like at this, it's funny because it's the duality of the same people, the very same people who want us, who keep telling us that we have no ownership over these properties, that they don't belong to us, they're not for us, they're not made for us and whatnot. They want us to feel completely disenfranchised. They want the people who are loyal to their brand to, exactly like you said, feel the total opposite, feel like they have complete and total ownership, that it's their thing. More than that, it is them. It's an extension of themselves. That's how they get them to fight tooth and nail. Because that's like something we saw recently too, is like the difference between like followers and believers and things like that, and how that's what you're seeing is people aren't breeding followers and fans. They're breeding believers. They're breeding diehards. They're breeding people with these very, very scary connections to the properties that they're peddling to them. Greg Kirby says, oh yeah, Obi-Wan is going woke, 3 female leads. I have not been following Obi-Wan news, but that surprises me 0%. Guarantee you we'll have some bullshit Clone Wars Rebels stuff going in that one too. Matt Deckard says, is that the theory now? KK trying to sneak in backfire pilots? Yeah. Oh, yeah, that is the heavy theory. And honestly, that was my theory when they started announcing all of these character and actors that were going to come into the show before we even knew what shape they were going to take. I for sure think that's it's clearly what's going on. That was my Leslie Headland take. Was exactly that she's coming in to write this Ahsoka Tano spinoff series. So thank you for the super chat. Bo Darville says, are you two married yet? Not yet, but we do consider ourselves domestic partners. So is that fair to say?
Hetero life mates.
Hetero life mates.
Like Jay and Silent Bob.
Exactly. Except not platonic.
And except we didn't get married dressed as stormtroopers at the Unitarian Church.
Also that. But we are hetero and we are life mates. It just happens that because we're hetero and you're a guy and I'm a girl, we get banged.
Also, neither of us are silent.
True. Accurate. I wonder if the whole Silent Bob thing is just because he's like, I'm going to be talking on set enough.
He didn't want to remember the lines. He says it himself.
I mean, that's totally fair. It's like you're doing everything else where it's like it's a perfect gimmick to be like, I want to be in this. I want to be part of this. I want to be like the center of this universe.
Was talking about that.
But I also
people for that first movie.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
There's a couple actors that play multiple roles. You just don't notice. There's actually a really sweet shot where this guy with the beard goes, "You open," and this guy on a ladder goes, "No." It's the same guy acting himself without a beard.
That's hilarious.
And you wouldn't know unless you knew that.
That's like
he's the producer, Scott Mosier.
You know that that little thing I did where it's me talking to myself. I've shown it to people who don't realize at first that it's both me.
Yeah.
Like, but it's me. It's just my hair is completely different.
It is me. It is there.
And Matt G says the Ahsoka and anything Mandalorian related arc from CW goes to Rebels to the Mandalorian, but not the OT. It is kind of awkward.
Which is what the entire Disney Star Wars era is based off of, the original trilogy.
Exactly.
Because this show's about the fall of the Empire and the fallout from a giant militaristic force crumbling and the remnants of the galaxy. Not about some bullshit Jedi prophecy. That's Luke Skywalker's story. Don't tell it again.
Think about this exactly. Think about the spread too. Like the Mandalorian is your most popular property. This is your universally appealing property. The reason why you have stuff based off the original trilogy is because it's the most universally recognized Star Wars property. Clone Wars and Rebels are not even universally recognized among the Star Wars fan base, let alone the greater public. You are hurting yourself. You are cutting yourself off from your audience. As we were talking about this, I mentioned this too in the High Council. Star Wars, like for as much as we want to complain about the normies have come in and whatnot. There is this extent to which Star Wars fans have to always be thinking about manufacturing new Star Wars fans. Otherwise, Star Wars goes away. You don't just get born into being a Star Wars fan. Parents have to show their children.
Or they have to find another route like me, because my mom does not like Star Wars.
Parents have to show their children, or if you're not procreating, how else are you passing it on? Some of it is if you're people creating Star Wars media, if you're people sharing Star Wars media. It's a lot more difficult if you're trying to pass The Mandalorian on to somebody to have to sit down and show them all of Clone Wars and Rebels for them to have a way in than it is to show them the original fucking trilogy.
The thing is, if these characters were introduced as part of The Mandalorian from the beginning, you can't complain about this stuff. But because it is one of those Captain Marvel and Endgame situations, but it's characters you like,
yeah,
there's the hypocrisy.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's bitching to bitch, because here's what you've been saying the whole time is The Mandalorian's the most popular Star Wars show, right? For a reason.
Yeah.
We just want it to be what it is, meaning if it's already this great show that everyone likes, because this episode didn't make or break you on the show, and if it did, have that talk with yourself again. If this one episode made you a Mandalorian fan, I think you're going to be disappointed, because this episode is nothing like the show.
Sure.
That's where the disconnect for me comes from, because it's a good show that caught fire, and I wanted more. Because the thing is, it's the first season, and then it switched in midway through the second season. It didn't get old. It didn't get stagnant. Nobody ever went, it's kind of boring that the Mandalorian went into a Western town. He's done it, whatever. And you know what? Oh, he's done it a couple times. Well, he went to the Mos Eisley Cantina. That's pretty cool. You got that call back. Oh, he went to this planet. Oh, that Timothy Oliphant shit was a whole new story.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? The show's a Western in space. It's not really, it's a samurai Western show as much as it is anything else. And I think they're forgetting that what made Star Wars the original Star Wars is that it's an amalgamation of Western, samurai, science fiction, not a continuation of Star Wars.
Oh, and also, by the way, I don't give a shit if Beskar being lightsaber proof is canon from Clone Wars and Rebels. It's fucking stupid. It is fucking stupid. Every single time they introduce weapons that are lightsaber proof, they diminish lightsabers. Lightsabers were one of the coolest weapons to date ever created, and everything the sequels have, or the Disney era has wanted to do is diminish their power, diminish their coolness, diminish their badassery. I'm sorry, the fucking weapon that can punch through blast doors isn't going to be stopped by just a regular staff, no matter what kind of cool metal it's made out of.
To be fair, Lucas did create that himself, because the Magna Guards could take lightsaber blast. Because the problem with that is, when you're writing a movie that has really awesome moments, you can use these awesome things that are the be-all, end-all. The modern version builds themselves on the lightsaber, on the gimmicks. It doesn't have the story. That's why we always go back to the old lightsaber duels. They're not about the battles. It's about the emotion between the two combatants, or the three, depending on what it is. This new shit is the flash before the substance.
Yep.
And we were seeing there was substance before the flash with the Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm. Why? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Why would you start tampering and meddling when you had something that was so good already? In fact, the entire reason all the eyes were on it were because of how good it was. So why is your first thought, ooh, we have this great thing, let's change everything about it? To your point though, Valganabota, Beskar is a rare metal for a reason, sure, but we only know it's rare in this universe because we're told. That's a cheap-ass writing technique.
It's not even rare. Every week he finds a new piece.
Exactly.
Every episode.
We only think it's rare because someone in the beginning says it's rare. They talk about it being rare in the beginning. That is cheap fucking bullshit, because exactly what you said, we are so inundated with Beskar every fucking episode, all of the fucking time, that you have completely diminished its rarity. There is no rarity in Beskar anymore. We have been slapped in the face with it since day one of this thing, and all they want to say, oh, well, it's such a rare metal, is cheapened entirely by the amount that it's shoved in their face.
It was awesome when he did that job, got all the metal, and had the armor made. That was awesome, because the first design of the Mandalorian was cool, but the way he looks now, I even told you this before the episode started. When I look at any kind of Boba Fett inspired armor, when I see Boba Fett, for a minute I have to go, oh wait, he's the original, not the Mandalorian. I wish enough people could understand what we're actually saying, because we love the show. It's not like this is just an episode that was worrisome, because it's reflective of everything that Disney Star Wars was built upon and that everyone hated. And in the span of one episode, everyone forgot that. My guess is by next episode, the show about faces, we go back and the show will never address that ever again.
So here's my question though about the Beskar though, is like, didn't most, because that's one of the things, like compared to Bo-Katan and them, most of his Mandalorian clan had versions of had pieces of Beskar in their armor,
children.
or yes, if not full suits.
Yeah.
Like it was a thing that like, yes, it was rare, but they had collected a fuck ton of it, and they're all running around in Beskar. So why are so many of these weird? That would be like saying that for some reason the Mormons ended up with like the most precious jewels of the Pope from the Pope's like stash. Like, I don't know if the Pope has jewels. Let's say the Pope has a chest of jewels somewhere.
Mormons and the Pope don't go to.
That's my whole point. That's my whole point. Is like the Mormons, based on the way they're setting this up, the Mormons are as close to Catholicism as, you know, whatever the Mandalorian's doing to traditional Mandalorian lore. You know, so it makes as much sense for them to have all of this precious Mandalorian metal as it would for the Mormons to have something that was precious to the Vatican. It doesn't track. It doesn't make sense. It's like apples and oranges. It's like, why would your tiny faction of religious extremists have the fucking monopoly on your precious metal? When does that? It's the fucking First Order coming out of an asshole of nowhere. Suddenly, it's like if the KKK suddenly showed up with nukes and ran the country tomorrow. Like, that's not how it fucking works. You know, it's none of this tracks. None of it all crisscrosses. None of it makes fucking sense. You can't design an entire new lore for your Mandalorians in one season and then suddenly go, oh shit, we totally forgot. We have all this other lore that we want to just fucking smash into it like rough butt sex without lube. Because guess what? Nobody enjoys that. Nobody enjoys that. Have you ever tried to have rough butt sex without lube? Nobody enjoys that experience. So done.
And another thing I'd like to add too, because everyone thinks, "Ooh, you're a bunch of haters." Did we or did we not literally scream out "what the fuck" at the end of the episode before how good it was?
Yeah.
And it was directed by Carl Weathers. That's the part that pisses me off because
I don't hate the show.
I love the fucking show. I have a Mandalorian action figure. I hate Disney Star Wars. Who the fuck? Of all people, I'm the guy that documented the decline of that brand of toys. I own the Mandalorian shit because he's a cool character.
Exactly.
I've never ripped on Baby Yoda. All I've said is, are they jumping the gun? Because everyone's buying him because he's really popular. He's already popping up at clearance. And people go, oh, it's the Christmas season. I had this shit out before the Christmas season videos. All I'm trying to get at is, I really love this show in theory, and Star Wars is so precious to me that I don't trust them with anything they'll do.
So here's a problem I have right here, too. First, I'll read the super chat so it doesn't go away. That Casey Vance says, our friendship is like Thor, happiest season on Hulu. Yes, actually, we were just checking up on that the other night, that Casey fan. I do want to watch it because I like cheesy holiday movies like that.
I
and
wish
yes,
we had the Hallmark Channel.
And yes, Balam, our friendship is like Thor. It is young, but very good and has many, many great years out of it.
And it's missing an eye?
So here's the problem, right? I shouldn't have to do some homework on Star Wars to enjoy season 2 of the Mandalorian.
Wait, isn't this the same complaint everybody made about?
I'm sorry. If you didn't like The Last Jedi or The Force Awakens, why don't you do some more homework? Why don't you go read those novels? Because those answer all of our questions. Those fix everything. So why don't you just go do some more fucking research? Maybe you'll like the movies better. Stop with the asinine arguments. You guys sound like Last Jedi fans. This is the shit I'm trying to explain to you. You guys sound exactly like the assholes running around saying, you just don't get it. You just don't appreciate what Rian Johnson was trying to do. I don't appreciate what Dave Filoni was trying to do. And I don't have to. The same way all of you motherfuckers sat here with me and said, I don't care if you like The Last Jedi. Just let me not like it over here in peace. Y'all are doing the same fucking shit. Y'all are yucking my yum and all that bullshit. You know, I'm not doing that to you. This is my live stream where I already made it very, very blatantly obvious in the title that we were going to talk about why The Mandalorian is terrible. So if you are here to engage in that conversation, whether you like or dislike The Mandalorian, awesome. That's totally cool. But if you are here to tell me why I am wrong for not liking the last episode of The Mandalorian, go fuck yourself. It's a really easy dichotomy. There are people here like Falcon Apoda who generally doesn't really like me that much and is a Last Jedi fan and is still here and having a conversation. And guess what? I respect that a hell of a lot more than anyone who wants to sit here and go, well, you just don't understand because you need to watch the Clone Wars and you need to like and appreciate the Clone Wars and Rebels in order to properly understand and like and appreciate this season of The Mandalorian.
What about me? I watched all the Clone Wars and I like that show and I like Ahsoka Tano and I don't like that episode. What about somebody like me who does?
Well, The Mandalorian just isn't for you anymore, Jeff, because clearly now it's for fans of Ahsoka. Now it's for fans of Ahsoka.
So next week it's not going to be called the Ahsoka, or it's going to be called the Ahsoka Show next week?
Yeah.
We're not going to have The Mandalorian with that cool music
because it isn't
and all those cool title cards and shit. It's not just going to say Ahsoka.
And here's the shit I want y'all to think about and think real hard about too. How comfortable you suddenly were with a couple of women showing up out of the blue to tell the man why he was doing it wrong the whole time. Because guess what? If you're not a fan of Ahsoka and a fan of Bo-Katan already and know that these are badass characters, if you haven't already watched these shows and you don't know these are badass characters who've earned their salt and earned all this shit, if you're just a casual fan coming into The Mandalorian for the first time, not thinking they have to have committed to 2 entire other animated series in order to enjoy this, guess what you just saw in episodes, in those 2 episodes? You saw a bunch of woke trash. In episodes 3 and 5, because you saw these big, strong, tough women show up unearned. You haven't been introduced to them. They just show up to save the day, beating the shit out of everyone, telling the Mandalorian, literally the first one shows up and tells him how he's been doing his entire fucking life wrong. And y'all just got on board. Y'all just jumped right on board with a bunch of woke garbage. Why? Because you read the novel. You read the novelization, so you know it's not woke. You know where Rey got her powers from because you read the novelization, and therefore it's right, and therefore everyone else is wrong because you read the book. Fuck you. There you go. Tater, thank you. Is that the next one? I think that was. Just make sure. No, I think I went from K2 fan. Star Wars needs more Rey because she's super hot. See, that is logic I can't refute.
That's subjective, though.
Exactly. That's why I can't refute it. You think Star Wars needs more Rey because she's super hot? Great. I don't think Rey is hot or that Star Wars needs more of her. But
I could argue that they never need her in the first place.
I agree with that 100%. But I can't refute the fact that K2 fan wants more Rey in Star Wars and thinks Rey is hot and thinks that Rey being hot is a reason why she should be in Star Wars. If that's the way he enjoys his media, I want the person who's most attractive to me to be in my movies. And you know what? Part of that is that I know this person. I know that he's 100% consistent in those viewpoints. Those do not shake and change. He's not going to wake up one day. He's not going to run. He's not going to make up reasons why Rey is great and wonderful and special and powerful. He's going to tell you straight. I think she's pretty. I think Daisy Ridley's beautiful. I think the character design is hot. I'm into it, and that's why I like it. And he's never going to make up some bullshit reason why Rey is great and wonderful and magical to try to sell it to you. I can deal with that honesty. I don't care. I would rather have honesty. That's the thing. If you want to tell me I don't give a shit that they're tearing The Mandalorian off its rails so Dave Filoni can have his playground, his sandbox, because I love the way they're representing Bo-Katan and Ahsoka on film. They're finally doing it right, so I don't give a shit what it means for the rest of the lore or the wokeness that they're slipping in underneath me because I am happy that I finally get some Star Wars that I want. Fine, tell me that. That is fine. I have no fucking problem with that. But do not fucking sit here and preach to me and sermonize to me about how I just don't understand. Really? You motherfuckers are going to come to me on my fucking channel and want to preach to me about how I don't understand Star Wars? Get the fuck out of my house. Get the fuck out of my house.
Aren't you trained with a sword and shit?
Goddamn right I am. Ask the fan. Actually, you don't even ask it. You can see the video evidence of what happened to the last fan who challenged me with the saber. We actually had a blast. We had a great fucking time. Anyway, so Tater says your opinions. I think you kind of got a big earful of it right there. So Tater says, I just got here and loving the Mando show. Sorry to make you repeat, but what is your opinion? I promise I won't get upset.
The show's good. Like we both like it. It's the last episode and 2 episodes before.
Episodes 3 and 5 of the season have just shit the bed. Because it's Clone Wars and Rebels injected into it in ways that don't make sense and can't be appreciated by people who don't already like and care about those characters.
Because so I'm gonna further your point. So I don't know. I never watched Rebels, so Bo-Katan's just a name, and I've seen pictures and I read up on it. But even then, I'm like, it's jarring because like Sasha Banks shows up, and other shit like that. Like one, she's a poor casting choice, and 2, it's just like random Mandalorians keep popping up from the guild and. It's like when everything is special, nothing is.
Exactly.
It's like how everyone in the prequels has a lightsaber. When a lightsaber got ignited in the old Star Wars movies, dude, as a kid, it was a big deal that Luke turned his lightsaber on in Return of the Jedi to fight at the beginning of the movie, not just at the end. Like, That's another thing too. Instant gratification is a problem, and that's across the board. It used to be sci-fi fans had the long attention spans.
Mhm.
You could watch Star Trek is very dry. There's humor, but it's a very dry show.
Early Doctor Who.
Doctor Who across the board. I'd even argue, yeah, by whatever standard it comes out, it's still slightly drier than whatever the standard, the
That's fair.
common whatever. I'm not saying it's
I'll
bad,
agree with you.
but it's always
Especially because even when it came back on the air in its newer iterations, it had a very low budget and relied heavily on story and not on effects.
fantastic. Some of the best episodes come from that earlier Eccleston season, the first Tenet. Those that combined, right?
But you're totally right, and that's why though, like fans learned to have that patience because the special effects weren't there. Now that the special effects are there, everyone just expects more, and you don't realize it's those pressures. It's like it's the Lucas problem. He didn't get what he wanted in those first movies, but everyone else did. He made the better movies because he didn't have that instant gratification of push the buttons and make the CGI happen. And it's the same thing with fans. It's like the pressures of not having the special effects made sci-fi writers be more clever, find ways around, find compelling storylines that hooked you and rooted you so that you stayed tuned even if the effect didn't hold up or looked a little cheap and shitty.
And on the flip side of that too, we've reached this nexus point where we can do anything on film, anything on screen, and it's, how do I want to phrase it? It's like they overdid it to a point where it's almost like
Avatar got away with being a film that was all flash and no substance.
Yeah.
It got away with it because of what it was and what it did, and it is the only movie that in my book from this era that gets that pass. And
it's a big tech demo.
Exactly, it's
like,
what it was, and I think it knew what it was, and I think I even think I'll even go one step further. I think even though James Cameron is pretentious and too big for his britches, I think I don't think he really knew how much he phoned it on the story and shit in that one, but like. I think he was aware that the visual spectacle was the selling point of that movie, and it gets the pass because it's the one that did it, It doesn't get a huge pass because again, you have things like Star Wars who can make those breakthroughs and an incredible film at the same time. So we know it's possible. But if any movie gets a pass, it's that one. And then after that point, it's like, great, you can do this. The first person to create the technique is the wizard. Everyone else is just copying, is just following a path that's already been laid.
You have that blend, like we always go back to that first Avengers movie where you have story. The thing is, like, that Avengers movie builds to the final battle. It's all about that battle in New York. We get to a point where you have to get so big that the special nature of the spectacle goes away. You get to Infinity War. I love that movie. I don't really have anything bad to say about it. You start out with a battle, then you go to another battle, then you go to another battle, you go to another battle. You have like 4 battles before your movie slows down when you get to the Guardians on their ship. Mm-hmm. It's almost an embarrassment of riches to the point where it's like, again, where everything is such a big spectacle and visually, like, you saturate with every graphic in the world because it's so often it's not special.
That's my biggest complaint actually about Infinity War is that it's a just repetition over repetition over repetition for the sake of let's have this grand battle here with this spectacle and then one here with this spectacle and then one here with this spectacle, and the spectacle is all great and grand and wonderful, but at what point am I just like, enough, tell me a story, stop just punching each other with different colors?
Well, I think they definitely...
Oh, they get to a story eventually with Infinity War 2, but that definitely sets in at a point. Like, yes, it's not all, obviously there is a huge story there and it builds to an incredible climax, but there are definitely, that's one of my criticisms is that element comes into it for me. And I really start to feel that fatigue even in that movie. But I also think that's why, when we watch that, it doesn't look as good as that end scene from the first Avengers, because that whole movie is building to that one big spectacle. Yeah, you have some fights and some moments, some sort of individually showcased spectacles, but that's really building to this one big set piece. So they kind of went all in on that. Whereas Infinity War, it's like, again, shiny lights here, shiny lights there, shiny lights there, shiny lights there. And the overall impact on the viewer is just this wash of color and sound and spectacle for spectacle's sake. And it doesn't land as heavily as New York, the Battle for New York. So
that was the first time we ever saw it too.
True too. That's very true. And that is something that's like another thing just too that's going to be a factor of Marvel and Star Wars and all this stuff is like, and what we talked about with the comedies, something like a Deadpool is doing something new, brand new, and the sequel is always going to suffer from not being able to do it for the first time.
I mean, look at Return of the Jedi. They even had to go back and fight a second Death Star.
Exactly.
So I'm saying, even on something great, they do recycle shit a lot.
Yep. And I think that the trick is what are the different? The key is not what you do the same, but what you do that's different. You can recycle the same scenes, plot, stories, characters, etc. What makes it the key is what do you add or take away that fundamentally changes the narrative in a way that's special and uniquely you. Shadow Fenrir 24 says, I'm surprised the show hasn't referenced Jedi Fallen Order yet. From my understanding, it has referenced Knights of the Old Republic, though, because that was the pearl in the Krayt Dragon was something from that. But I'm sure it'll get around to it. It seems to be really keen on the member berries. So, Jeffrey Turner says, someone says Star Wars is just popcorn flicks. Thoughts?
Everything outside of Empire and the original one, yeah.
The thing about Star Wars is that that's what makes it special, is that it can be. It can be a movie that you put on with your friends, hang out.
Thanksgiving.
Sure. Hang out. It's over, whatever. You don't ever think about it. You never analyze it. You never learn any more about its production or its history or this or that, the other. Some fun space adventure movie that you like to watch sometimes. Or you can live your entire life dedicating yourself as a scholar to this and never run out of topics. And the people who are saying that aren't wrong unless they're trying to diminish it and try to say that's all they are. They're not more than that. In that case, they're just fundamentally unaware of the larger cultural and technological impact of Star Wars on the film industry. And like, okay, ignorance is a thing. You can be ignorant. That's being wrong. But if their take is just, that's the way they digest Star Wars, is like, it's just this fluffy movie for me and I don't really care more or deeply about it. That's totally fine. Not everyone's going to love it as passionately as we do. But it is fundamentally wrong to write it off and say it has no deeper, cultural impact.
Oh, yeah.
It's just, the evidence is overwhelming.
I will say that's one of those things where sometimes when you get like a creative and they talk about their work, it comes off as pretentious.
Yeah.
For some reason, I never got that from George Lucas when he tries to explain, or when he explains exactly thought processes and stuff like that. Even good or bad, it's like, I believe what he believes, if that makes sense. Like, because the way he presents himself and then his artwork, the way it speaks,
I believe he believes it.
I see it, so I'm like, okay, may not like it, but I believe that you believe. So there's that conviction that I'm like,
I can go on this journey
with you.
I can go on this journey with you because I know you're not trying to sell me bullshit.
Yeah.
Even if it's not
Ryan Johnson's first draft.
Exactly. Even if it's not the journey I would choose to take, I can still go on this with you. Stratos Radio Blue says it's the Rainbow Six Siege /Destiny /Overwatch argument all over again, where their deep lore is just a wall of text. However, in this case, a few lines. I'm not familiar with those games so much.
Destiny, I am a little more so than the other two.
But it sounds comparable.
Rainbow Six Siege. We have that game on the PlayStation.
Oh, cool! We should play it.
Yeah,
except apparently not, because apparently we're.
I actually never got too far into it because there's training missions and then the story, and I just quit because I was like, I don't want to play training missions. I want the story.
Fair enough. But apparently we're gonna get honey-dicked at some point if we do decide to play it. Pandemonium says Star Trek isn't dry, it's theatrical. You gotta love watching people standing on stage and reciting their lines with a sense of drama. That's another way to describe it. I think somebody who's more of a fan would describe it that way over dry.
The thing is, I actually find that first Star Trek funny.
The original series? I love the original series.
Not the only reason, but the main reason I like it is because it's so over the top.
It is.
The way William Shatner throws the punches, the way he talks, the way Sulu. The thing is, like, everyone.
It's melodrama.
It's melodrama almost because everyone they're convicted to it.
But in a way, Pandemonium's right. It's really like people acting for the stage, but on film. Because that's what it is. Like acting for the stage, you even have that. You're trained to do these over exaggerations, these bigger voices. You got to project to the back of the house and all this shit.
I would stand by like stuff like The Next Generation is very dry.
Yes.
Even in an era, even people will say like, oh, Roddenberry, he's too worried about his utopian worldview.
Yes.
Instead of trying to tell the story, like the old Star Trek is.
Now I like Next Generation a lot, but I also definitely understand that criticism heavily.
I just don't like Star Trek after Captain Kirk's gone. Like I like that crew so much.
That is my favorite.
All the movies and shit I've watched. Even the reboots, I don't like them more than the original, but because of the dynamic that is a manufactured dynamic, the way Bones, Spock, and everybody gets
it right. That's the one thing he 100% gets right that I hear very few people refute. The casting choices, specifically the relationship between those three, they got right. Carl Urban as Bones, Zachary Quinto, and Chris Pine were all right for their parts and right with each other in that dynamic. And that was what I could really enjoy about the third one was for all of its shortcomings and as stupid as the entire plot on that planet was in the beginning, There was a whole bunch of Bones and Spock running around together.
Was that the one where they're on the white planet with all the
Yeah,
red shit?
yeah. But then you get a lot of Bones and Spock running around together, and bonding in a way that we hadn't gotten to see before. Which is always such a delight because and again they got it right where their relationship in the show is the most antagonistic one. It's almost like
Green-blooded, what do you call it? Green-blooded bastard at one point in time.
Exactly. It's almost like it's a weird love triangle where Kirk's in the middle of, like a platonic love triangle that Kirk's in the middle of, where it's like they have like he and Spock have this like intellectual relationship, and he and Bones have this broier relationship, and like they're always like
who do you think he's closer with?
It's the kind of thing where it's like when they're all together, it's always going to be, it's almost always Kirk and Bones versus Spock. But I also feel like there's just this like best friends connection that Kirk and Spock
That's
have.
what I think too. I think Bones almost feels like he's the almost best friend, but he's like, and he knows it. So he's got that little bit of like, why is he so great? He's blah, 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 blah.
Exactly. He's just this pointy-eared bastard.
It is fun though, because like you can analyze, like, most modern shit sadly doesn't have two things. One, people don't give it enough time to build because it has to instantly hit or it dies. And two, they just don't write characters with personalities.
And that's what I'll say is the one thing I miss about the dynamic, that relationship in J.J. Abrams' Star Trek that only Carl Urban brings to the table is that part of the fun of watching those three bicker and squabble in the original series is that these are three very much grown men. These aren't like 20-something-year-olds. They're all like, they are men, and they look like men. And they're still bickering and squabbling in that way, in a way that feels very childish. And that's what makes it really funny. And you lose some of that humor when like Chris Pine and Zachary Quinto go very, very young still, like, boys trying to be men. But because Carl Urban already is very much a man, he brings that to the table, which is, I think, why, to me, like, absolute best casting in that one, even though, like, looks-wise, the furthest off of those three. But personality, the absolute number one. Like the way he brings that character to life, I think he captures.
Of those three, or just anybody?
Of those three, I think
I would go Simon Pegg as Scotty would be my first. Because he plays the stereotype.
He brings a frenetic energy to the character, though. That doesn't feel like Scotty.
I don't know how much of that is, though. It doesn't feel like Scotty because the actor got old and they wrote him into other shit later, and a lot of the.
No, Scotty always. It wasn't even the Peppers, though. Scotty always was like he was cynical and sarcastic like Bones was in slightly different ways, but like Simon Pegg is dry but a little too yuppie about it, where it was like Scotty was always the one talking down to other people, not people talking down to them with the sarcastic retort, That's what it feels like with Simon Pegg Scotty, as opposed to the other one, where it's like like the difference between asking the kid computer whiz to do something that's beneath him versus acting like Batman's Alfred to do something that's beneath him, Like the old Scotty was more that, as opposed to the new one's more like, the computer whiz kid who's like, oh, you want me to do that? Whatever, Not too.
I don't think it's as different as like Q to New Q. Because like
I'll agree with that. I'll agree with that.
Like,
that's way more egregious. That's way more egregious. This one to me, it just feels like this suffers from the same thing that Chris Pine's Kirk or Zachary Quinto's Spock suffer from, which is just that they're a younger version of that character. And so they play them faithfully as a younger version of that character, but still a younger version, whereas I think Bones is the one who, because he's supposed to be a little bit older anyway, like, is a little more just the one-to-one, just bringing that old Leonard McCoy to life,
I prefer Hank McCoy myself. That's
that
Beast
from X-Men. I was about to say, like, I mean,
they literally wrote a comic book.
I was gonna say the one
called Star Trek versus X-Men just to make that fucking joke.
One wears a blue shirt, the other one's blue. So
I would say, like, in the '90s, it's stupid as shit, but it exists just for them to go, Dr. McCoy. Yeah, it made money. Yeah, whatever. But,
Martha, your mom's named Martha too. Pandemonium. Since you're a Star Trek fan and possibly Next Gen fan, have you seen the video of Patrick Stewart wearing the Panama hat, and I think he's the king, and he's doing this little like Broadway dance in the on the bridge of the Enterprise? Because if you haven't, definitely check it out. It's super fun. Yes, Lando wants all the love. So let's see, where are we? Goodness. 007 Cloud, I think, is the
Yep.
next one. Goodness. All right, we got to catch up here. He says, let me know more about your opinions on the swordplay on Berserk. Wish I could contribute more to the Star Wars talk. I checked out just before The Force Awakens. No worries. Yeah, I'll have to go back and take another look at it, and we will assess.
We'll watch it sober.
Sounds good, because I don't remember. But yeah, for sure. Matt G says, how do the Avengers films hold up versus the OT? The 4 Avengers films hold up versus the OT. Like, if I'm comparing the 4 Avengers, like the saga of the Avengers, against the Star Wars original trilogy,
time will tell.
Yeah.
But personally, it's the Star Wars trilogy is going to beat it. Because there's a bad Avengers movie in there, a debatable one, and you really have to be a critical asshole to tear apart Return of the Jedi to try to take it to that level.
True.
There's no Return of the Jedi is not as bad as their worst.
Here's the thing.
And their best
exactly.
is not as good as their best.
Honestly,
so,
I was gonna say I would honestly go so far as to say Return of the Jedi is better than the best. I will still take Return of the Jedi over the first Avengers movie.
Yeah, and if you can cut out some of the later fuckery, like on it, like the new and all that stuff, like they added special editions,
the special edition changes, yeah.
Yeah, then I'm gonna go with you on that one.
Yeah,
but there are enough moments in Star Wars in general. I always make the analogy personally, but it's the most beautiful car you've ever seen. And somebody took a key, and all you can do is notice the scratches. And it's all like I'm at a point with Star Wars because I've watched it so much, and every version changes, and I watch each version so much because I love Star Wars that my brain goes, "That's a change," and then I go, and it pulls me out of the story.
Here's the thing, another thing with this comparison too, though, and this is one of the shortcomings of Marvel. As much as I love the MCU and most of their movies, is what moments in Marvel are iconic? If this just take those 4 Avengers movies, what moments in those 4 Avengers movies are iconic but not jokes?
Not many, because remember I mentioned time. That shit ended last year. In an Endgame with Earth, Infinity Wars the year before that. I don't think we've had enough time to digest any of this shit because it never stops.
True.
That's why another reason I don't think the OT will always be better than the Avengers saga is because the Avengers saga will never end until it has to for financial reasons.
But
Star Wars was a complete thing.
Well, you want to talk iconic moments too? Like ones there are certain ones you could point to that where I would say would be iconic in the moment, but are completely dampened over time. Like the end of the Battle of New York, Tony Stark going through the hole. Is a huge moment that's completely diminished by the fact that like it's really not a sacrifice, he's just fine, and also then he actually dies later, so like why are you harping on the time he nearly died when he actually does?
Or you could be me in that theater going, oh my god, he's gonna die, Pepper Potts, he's calling her all, I'm starting to feel the emotions. Oh wait, Iron Man 3 comes out next year, fuck it. And then I honestly it took me out of the movie.
So to me, like the only one that's coming to my mind off the top of my head is these like super iconic moment in the Avengers movies that's not that.
The spin.
The snap. I would go with the snap.
I'd go with the famous rotation of all the Avengers assembling.
All the Avengers assemble?
I'll take that that's one. The one I'll go. That's the most iconic visual MCU moment in general. And I'd say that is their number one.
Fair. I'll take that one. I'll take the snap. And then
see, this is a hard question.
You know, it's like there's nothing but like comparatively, there's nothing else. I could point to some other big, moments that aren't jokes, but at the same time, when we're talking more, you're looking at Star Wars, we're then comparing them to No, I Am Your Father. We're comparing them to, like to that whole scene, then to, Jabba's palace and whatchamacallit, Han getting frozen in carbonite. Dude, I haven't even touched on the first movie yet at all.
I was gonna say the first movie is just
Death Star blowing up.
What was it? The movie
Han introducing himself. The guy getting up in the cantina.
Of iconic events.
Exactly.
No, chronologically, it's the crawl's iconic, and that goes directly in the movie. The fucking crawl, shot of the
opening
planet
shot of the blockade
before the Death Star or the Star Destroyer appears, just the planet shot. Then the fucking shot of them in the hallway, the shot of Princess Leia coming out, the shot of Darth Vader appearing.
I mean, you don't even get
and it's all.
You don't even get half an hour into the movie before you get one of the most iconic Star Wars shots of all time.
Luke
with the twin sons, exactly, of all time. So I'm saying, like, after that point, like to me, nothing beyond the spin and the snap hold anywhere near enough gravitas to be even put in the same conversation that we're having in terms of dramatic moment. Everything else that holds weight or memory in Avengers is a joke. And
jokes diminish over time.
They do. They lose their potency.
This was the most poorly future-proofed franchise in history because, like the example I gave, and I think it's so. We talk about engineered entertainment on the High Council tonight. When you go watch a Marvel movie when it's brand new with nobody in the room, Go experiment, because I did it by mistake. I watched Ant-Man 2 with 3 other people at the theater. Nobody really laughed. I look at Ant-Man 2 as a forgettable experience. I harp on the Avengers because I felt something in the theater.
Just think about having a movie described to you. Like if anyone's ever described one of their favorite comedies or one of their favorite dramas, you can describe, like if someone's describing a comedy to you, it's not funny. You're not getting any of the jokes. They're not landing to you. They always end up getting to a point where, oh, you got to watch it, because it's not fucking funny when you're just recounting these jokes to me.
Because you could go like Dumb and Dumber. 2 guys go across the country to return a briefcase, and that's not a funny premise.
Well, the whole thing is like you can pick what's your favorite joke in Dumb and Dumber?
Goodbye, My Love. It's only I like it. But he's driving away, and he looks over at the woman as she's getting ready to check and goes, "Goodbye, my love," and he crashes into it, and the fucking airbag hits her in the face, and she looks over like, "Bye!" Just like that part every time.
And that's hilarious. But also, like, are you ever going to is any verbal description ever going to even come close to conveying what's funny about it to someone? It's the moment, the timing, the way you said it. You just got to be in there.
You chuckled when I said "hi" like that.
Exactly, because you're doing the impression the way it is in the thing, and that's all what it's all about, is the way they do, the thing. And so the best you're going to get is if you do a really good retelling, you'll get a chuckle on one of the funny moments of like, oh, hi, see that could be funny. Whereas like, let me take one of my favorite dramatic movies, for example. Pick one of my favorite dramatic movies. Don't let you pick one. Doesn't matter which one. A dramatic movie, I really, really like. I don't care which one it is. You can try to make it hard for me. Casablanca. All right. I'm trying to think of a moment in that I find really impactful. I mean, just the end. Like, I think the ending is such a beautiful culmination of the way the entire movie builds to that moment, and like it calls back, it references almost everything. It's made a point to talk about the Vichy water and Vichy France, which is occupied France. It makes a point of it has the round up the usual suspects line. It plants all these little seeds to build this great dramatic tension of, is he going to shoot the major? Is he not? And then Louis has the best moment there. And that's why I love Louis' character. It's this great moment, like where even he doesn't know what kind of man he is until he picks up the phone to call in the crime. And even he doesn't, he says the major's been shot. And until he says the next line, which is round up all the usual suspects, even he doesn't know what kind of man he is. Is he the man who just is going to run forever, is always going to just turn with the breeze and be out for himself? Or does he have any principles left? And it's so cool because he and Bogey are on these like parallel trajectories, and Bogey has just gotten there like minutes before him, and then he gets there, which is why like this movie's about their relationship. Fuck Ilsa, it's about that. And like, so you see what I'm driving at, though, is how it's not the same. It'll never be the same as watching and actually experiencing it. But when you describe a dramatic moment to somebody from a movie, a moment where like all the things come to a head, in a few sentences, I can plant all the seeds. It helps that you've seen the movie, just like, helps I've seen Dumb and Dumber. You don't need to explain, who's playing these characters and stuff. But you can tap into that excitement. You can understand why it's a cool moment of like, oh, and he throws the Vichy water in the trash, and it's a callback to him being like Vichy France and going with the tide, and now he's making his stand, and you can call back to all the imagery, all those moments, and all those things where it's like, and again, you trace that scene to every moment in the rest of the movie. One of my favorite jokes in Avengers, when you listen, brother, and you listen good. I'm listening.
Oh, that one?
It's a great fucking joke. It's hilarious. I laugh every single time. I will stop the noise in the room to appreciate that joke. Or the one we always go back to every single fucking time. It'll kill you.
Oh,
Only if I die. That's what it kills you. Yeah. That's what killing you means. So
mine is still that man is playing Galaga. Because
I
didn't expect it. Honestly, everything about that movie that I like was from the first time I watched it, how like incredible it was. Like, and the fact that it literally goes back to show him playing Galaga, that's like the perfect beat to it. It's like you're like, fuck, exactly. Because they came off of Winter Soldier, which was the most serious.
Oh yeah.
No, wait, I messed that up. Sorry, Winter Soldier comes after that. Sorry, my bad. But it was like they come off of something like Captain America: The First Avenger. That was the most serious.
I mean, it has kind of a downer, it has a lot of big downer ending.
He wins, but he loses.
Exactly.
He loses his girlfriend.
He loses
the war. He win the war.
Yeah.
He's a hero.
But he's lost in time now. Yeah. No, absolutely.
Do they always do that? No. Black Panther. Do they always do a downer before an Avengers movie? No. Black Panther was an
It's an upper, yeah.
It's an upper, huh?
It's an upper. Mitch Hedberg stats, uppers or downs. I don't know. Guess the drugs. Also, if you guys haven't pressed the like button yet, we are 6 away from 100. We are almost there, so make sure you are pressing. What was I gonna say though? Yes. So, let's dive back into some super chats too, because now we're way off topic. Fuck Google 2 says, Mando criticism, the Star Wars lore isn't increased, just investing nostalgia, and Four Horsemen is better than Degeneration X.
No.
I have
Shawn Michaels alone.
I have no opinion on this.
She picks DX because Shawn Michaels is a member of DX, and that's her favorite wrestler.
Am I supposed to? Am I supposed to like them better?
I mean, DX has a great catchphrase.
Okay.
Suck it.
No, that's my thing anyway. So
we're not down with that. We got 2 words for you, and the whole crowd would go, "Suck it!" And it's weird because like little kids would be in the crowd with these like. The best one ever was when they're in the ring, DX, and they're trying to get this girl to show her boobs. And so she's got these giant fake boobs. And they're like, "Come on, show them." And she goes, and shakes her boobs. And they go, "Come on, show them." And she pulls off her shirt and shows her bra. And then they go, "Come on, show them." And she rips off her shirt and her boobs are flying out. There's a kid next to her in the crowd the whole time. And it's the weirdest thing ever because it was put on one of their WWF videotapes back in the day. You talk about a world of difference for entertainment. 22 years. The world is completely different.
Oh, boy. That KC fan says, Twilight isn't dry, it's theatrical. You gotta love watching people standing on a stage and reciting their lines with a sense of drama. Uncle Frank on Prime. I appreciate what you're trying to do, but no, Twilight isn't dry, it's just bad. And I don't remember what Uncle Frank is, but cool.
It's that Paul Bettany movie.
Do we want to see it?
I personally don't, but if you put it on, it's got the girl from It remake. The redhead. That's
the girl plays
Nancy Drew and all
that. Oh,
shit.
yeah, that's KC fan's favorite actress right now. But no, Twilight's just bad. Robert Lau says, as long as we're all using critical thinking and analyzing and criticizing Star Wars, all of opinions matter, and thank you for supporting that.
Yeah, that's the type of shit I love about this. Just because we want to talk about something incessantly or criticize it or,
I think he's mocking though. I think he's being an asshole though. I think he's trying to say as long as we're all using critical thinking, analyzing, criticizing Star Wars, all our opinions matter. If you're not criticizing, analyzing the way we are, your opinion doesn't matter. No, it absolutely does. Your opinion absolutely does matter. It just if your opinion is fuck you, you're wrong for not liking this because I like it, that's not an opinion. It's just being an asshole. If your opinion is, I don't want to analyze it or look at it any closer than this, I enjoyed the episodes and that's enough for me, then cool. But it also begs the question, then why are you bothering to sit here and listen to an hour-plus long show devoted to critically analyzing Star Wars? So, Robert, if your super chat is intended in the way that Jeff took it, amazing, awesome, A+, we support this 100,000%. And if it's meant in the other way, too, that's totally fine. You're entitled to that opinion just as you are entitled to whatchamacallit.
Oh, he's trolling you.
Who's a what's?
You trolling you.
Figured. But I'm like, that's the whole thing too. It's like you can like it or dislike it. It totally doesn't matter. I'm just trying to see okay, that's the next one I have up here. Let me go see what else is there. But it's the whole thing, it's like, it does beg the question. If your stance is that one of like, I just want to enjoy it, I don't want to analyze it. Why are you here? But presumably you are here because you, like Robert Lyle and the rest of us, enjoy deeply analyzing, criticizing, and thinking about Star Wars.
Yeah, like the last episode of The Mandalorian before the shitty one.
Yeah, that was really fucking great.
That's when you can go. That to me is the definition of shut your brain off and have fun because the story's all there.
Yep.
And it's very basic. It's the shortest episode. It lays out the story in the beginning, and then it's just a series of events how to leave. That's what the old Star Wars is. It's a very basic story with grand theatrical moments. And realistically, it's rescue the princess, escape from the fortress, then attack the fortress at the end of the movie. The Wizard of Oz did the exact same thing. But that's where the beautiful part of Star Wars is, in its simplicity. When you muddy it with this kind of, we got to do this crossover and that crossover. Look, Star Wars invented a lot of this shit. Don't come back and try to bring a bastardized version of it. If Star Wars invented that kind of thing, make it the Star Wars version. Keep it on brand.
Exactly.
We're here for a fucking reason.
What makes Star Wars great? These universal themes, the universality, the approachability, the accessibility. So when you do exactly what you said, when you muddy the waters and you start plugging in all this lore and all these characters from other places and crisscrossing all these wires, you lose that beautiful universal appeal that The Mandalorian was getting back. It was getting that back. Do you want to live in this world? Is the world you guys want to live in the one where whatchamacallit? No, Robert Lau says he was not trolling. He was being genuine. So cool. But we love you anyway, Robert Lau. We love you no matter what, Robert Lau. But do you guys want to live in the world where Star Wars is only for people who have seen every single piece of Star Wars material and read every EU book? Because guess what? That phases me out. I don't get to be a Star Wars fan anymore if that's Star Wars. If Star Wars is only for those people, because I'm not that invested in the EU. I've never invested in Clone Wars or Rebels. I haven't had that much interest in it. I'd be interested in going back and watching it.
Because the Clone Wars show is good. And I was one of the people that's like, hey, Ahsoka, even in the beginning, didn't annoy me. I got what they were going for. She grew. What happens to her at the end of the original series, not the revival shit they did with Disney Plus, like, cool. I was like, that is a really cool, strong Star Wars movie that had never been done before. Like, I just don't know why people can't understand. Like, I'm in the boat where I like the character and all that shit. And I love that she's getting an action figure in the real scale, not the real scale, in the real style and the cartoon. Like, I love that the character's integrated and popular. I never had any problems with her in any of her forms until now, because it just didn't fit. Like, there's a reason why they never made a live action Bugs Bunny movie where Bugs Bunny was live action. Not everything from the digital animated world looks good on film. And I think that's where some of the disconnect too, when you talk about the blue with the Mandalorian armor.
Yeah.
I think that comes from you're bringing in a cartoon and you didn't really adapt it enough. If that makes sense.
007 Cloud, I am going to go back and read this super chat. I just wanted to address this really quickly because I think it's interesting. Travis Red Blue says, I feel something is woke when a brand new character is made strong by crapping on all of the old and their gender/race is their only achievement. Yes. So look at episode 3 of season 2 of The Mandalorian. If you're not, if you don't already know who Bo-Katan is, if you're just someone who likes The Mandalorian, who thinks it's a great show, who never watched Clone Wars or Rebels or all that shit, who does not have any frame of reference for this character, because you shouldn't need to, by the way, when you're watching a brand new TV show, you shouldn't need to have that frame of reference. So how do we feel now, though? So it's not woke if you just happen to have already, if you already knew all these characters. But think about all the people who don't know those characters. Think about all those people who don't have that entry into it. What do they see? They see a female character with no other merits, no other backstory, no other history show up, inform you that she is this great person who knows all these things, and that your hero, the character you've grown attached to, has been doing literally everything wrong.
Can I bounce off of you to further your point? Look how the Rebel Alliance X-Wing pilot treated the Mandalorian last episode.
Yeah. He
came to him after he did this great moment of heroic valor, even gave him that calling card shit. Like, there are two shows we're watching right now.
Exactly.
We're watching this evolution of this character who has, this is the way, and he gets this child, he grows, he becomes to care, he becomes a different thing. There is so much character development growth. It's not like we were watching a bad show. Everyone was watching the same shit, and you're all on board. It's just like the show has taken these two weird detours every other week. It's not like one bad episode ever and we're sitting there freaking out. It's every other week now. It's one of those like,
let's make
is this week this timeline or is this week this timeline?
Yeah, what story are we telling? Which characters are we caring about?
No TV show fucking does that. X-Men picked their team. They didn't do blue and gold. They made their own version and they stuck with it.
Talking about, you can't be serious. She literally tells him his entire way of being a Mandalorian is incorrect.
Yeah, I thought he was a religious zealot.
He's a religious zealot.
Right,
they're this religious zealot. Oh, you're one of them. You guys don't understand what the real way is. You are just wrong. So obviously,
and you know what?
Didn't watch
that scene outside of that killed the coolness of this is the way, because that is when you know something is popular in culture, when you go out in public and you hear that shit. I heard people go at the comic book store, this is the way.
This is the way. This is the way. You hear the shit about
it was the.
And now it's like, what is the way?
Try to prove me wrong on this one. The Mandalorian's the last piece of Star Wars, anything that has created something quickly to become part of popular, the real world.
Yes,
thing.
Absolutely.
And I just don't understand how anyone could say Never mind. Fuck it. You know what? Fuck it. I'm just done.
Uh, so Rhino, we don't want to be here for another 12 hours. But if you can come on Thirsty Thursday this week, we will do Mando with you.
The thing is, I'm really curious to watch this week's show.
It's true.
Like, no, everyone thinks, oh, you're haters. Stop using the fucking phrase hater and listen to what people are actually saying.
Exactly.
Because a differing opinion is not being a hater. Because if I liked everything, would you really want to listen to us talk? Everything's awesome. Everything's great. We don't live in the fucking Lego world. I'm not going to write you an Everything is Awesome song. I'll tell you how I like it, what I feel about it. And I can go in the same way. Here's my take. Everyone loved how I reviewed Captain Marvel. I started out saying, I'm not reviewing this movie based on Brie Larson's bitchiness. I'm reviewing the movie on its own merit. Everyone's like, awesome. That's what I do with this show. I review on its own merit. I ain't worried about the meta narrative of whatever. I don't care about these bullshit rumors about Pedro Pascal. I watch the show because they have, over the course of a year, consistently given me entertainment. And God damn it, because of the platform we have and what we've done consistently across all entertainment, I'm going to do the same thing. If I'm like worried, I'm going to say, hey, this is my take. What do you guys see? That's all it is.
Exactly.
We're having a fucking conversation on a digital, a new platform.
Exactly. I just want to say a couple of you guys are saying goodnight. So Greg, Emily, and Greg and Emily are going to bed. So good night to them, Z's. And have a wonderful evening to you guys. And then Rhino, yeah, if you let me know, you can DM me or whatever. Let me know if you are available this Thursday. Same time we've done it before. You're more than welcome to join us on Thirsty Thursday, and we will just talk Mando the entire fucking time too. I'm excited to hear your takes as well. And Dollars and Clouds says I picked both versions of I Am Iron Man. So much significance starting into the MCU.
Yeah.
I actually love both of them too.
Yeah.
I think they're both really, really good.
But I'm still going to stand with those are excellent, but Star Wars is going to still outweigh everything.
Agreed.
Like, I will give you, like, I Am Iron Man
I Am Iron Man. I think I Am Iron Man is the MCU's most iconic moment. Because of the way it called back at Endgame at his demise, really. Without it, it's up there. It's top 10 easily, probably top 5. With the callback at his death, it makes it that moment. And yeah, okay, phase 4, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But MCU phases 1 through 4, that line, I think, is the defining line of that thing. Because everyone knows, like, it was the Tony Stark, timeline. Like, yes, every other character has weight and importance and whatnot.
I wouldn't. Once we got past Captain America: Civil War, I wouldn't say he was.
Fair, but up until then, it was a lot of the Tony show.
I mean, in the real world, it's Robert Downey Jr.'s.
Exactly.
He thinks it's Robert Downey Jr. and the Avengers. I know Scarlett Johansson's an A-list $20 million star, but you know what? She's not him.
He's
in that
the draw.
World.
He is the draw.
Because you could put him in any movie as Tony Stark. That's why Iron Man 3 made all that money too, is because he fucked around in Tennessee and built shit, did dumb shit in bars. But it made $1 billion because it's him.
And the thing is, that movie has a lot more rewatchability than a lot of other bad movies because he's in it.
He's great.
I will watch that movie for stuff with him in it because of that.
He was so effortless in the role. It never felt like an actor. I'll give Henry Cavill that too. He's the only guy since Christopher Reeve. When he put on the suit, I was like, okay, I don't like your costume choice, but you carry yourself as this character. You seem
like the hero.
Like when he takes off, that's why I hate that he's burdened with garbage movies and a bullshit costume, because he seems like a nice guy who likes to respect the fans, respects the characters he plays, and unlike Robert Pattinson, dedicates himself fully. The dude will literally look like a fucking superhero drawing to play the role. So there are very few actors that do that, and I like having a Robert Downey Jr., and I like having a Henry Cavill. I like having these actors that can just carry that shit. And to jump back to Star Wars before we close it out, like, even Pedro Pascal, I don't buy any of the rumors behind the scenes until he quits the show.
Damn straight. I've seen no further evidence.
And I know he doesn't play every shot in the suit and shit like that, but even there's something about just the way the character's stitched together that you have to technically credit him.
Yeah.
But like, it falls in line with that effortless heroism and comfort with, like, the weight of a bigger event. It could be a universe-wide event like Iron Man, or it could be a smaller whatever battle, but I feel like they all just carry that well.
Yeah I agree completely, 100%. I think that's what really makes it. we do have another super chat here, which is actually a very good question.
Matt G's been sending a great one.
Matt G, it's an excellent question. What is the proper way to do member berries? Because it's not this. The thing is, not everyone's going to agree on that one. I think that it's one of those things where there are certain examples that most people agree are done well. There are certain examples that most people agree are done poorly. But a lot of the middle is a matter of case. The thing about a member berry is you're banking on calling back to a whatchamacallit. You're banking on calling back to something special about the old thing.
And I think you need a long enough time period to fall into that category too.
Correct. And so it requires you first of all, the first thing it requires is for the people making the current film or piece of work to first of all understand what makes the source material special. What are the things that actually, people like? So I think those are a lot of the times where it's been pretty universally agreed upon that Star Wars did it wrong, have been the instances where it's like, you're just not getting what it is we love about the old one. So you're throwing us shit we didn't need to see, like over-explaining the Force, certain other details, the Castle Run shit, all these things where it's like the Castle Run's a great example. The appropriate way to handle, in my opinion, I think most people would agree, a better way to handle the Castle Run in Solo is to still have it be just an event that he references but maybe expounds upon a little. Like,
dude, you can even open that movie with the Kessel Run,
sure,
and have Han and Chewie on the regular Falcon,
absolutely,
not that bullshit blue one, and don't ask. Here's the thing: is fans are partially responsible. Fans are partially responsible for this too. We all are. Wanting to know too much about your favorite thing ruins it.
Exactly.
But the studios that do it are the problem as well. Because at the end of the day, remember, it's not for us. We don't have the power. We don't get that. So you don't get to blame us.
But that's the whole place where it's like the studios don't get to have their cake and eat it too. If you guys want to sit there and say, oh, you just don't understand, if we gave you everything you wanted, it would be terrible. You just want everything you want. You just don't understand it to make good shit. Okay, well, then fucking make it. And stop sitting here trying to pretend like you're pandering to me, giving me everything I want. Because one, you're not. Two, that's not what I want. And you're not making good shit anymore. So, like, for me, yeah, but the Castle Run, even something like if you're going with this younger Han Solo who's going to be too young to have done the Castle Run, okay, what if there's a scene in the movie where it's referenced, at least in a way where we know more about what it is? What is the Castle Run? Great. You actually can expound upon the fact that it's this, dangerous smuggling run from the Spice Mines of Kessel. Cool.
It's weird that the first Star Wars movie mentions Kessel twice.
Yeah, the Spice Mines of Kessel and the Castle Run. It feels like one of those things where it's like he invented it for the for the one line, and then just had it conveniently. Ooh, I've already referenced this planet. I've already made up a planet here before. Let me just use that same one again.
You know what planet I wish they would have done more with was Sullust, because Darth Vader is one of the few planets he ever mentions by name in any of the movies. And the rebels messing near Sullust. That's what you want a bullshit one-off movie? You could have the rebel forces during the Battle of Endor on Sullust. There's your fucking Disney Plus movie. It's just a Star Wars space battle movie. It's the Battle of Endor from a different perspective.
Sure.
That's how another thing, too, if you want to call back the nostalgia and cash in like Rogue One did, there are certain Rogue One member berries that I thought were well done. Nothing, to me, has done member berries perfectly. Because what I was asking for was the time difference, because what's the difference between a member berry and a callback? Because if there's no difference and there's no period of time, then the perfect member berry, the perfect callback is Indiana Jones. When he goes for his gun in Raiders of the Lost Ark, or Temple of Doom, calling back to Raiders of the Lost Ark, it gives you a little musical flourish. You're like, shit, I understood that reference, and that's it. And they move on, and that movie has so many of its own iconic moments. Exactly. That, to me, is the perfect member berry callback.
And you know what? Cap is a great litmus test. I think that a moment that makes you go, I understood that reference, is the perfect member berry. That and nothing more. It makes you go, light bulb, haha, I get that. It's not enough that it takes you out of the rest of the viewing experience, so that it has to compromise in any way the story or the veracity of the world in order to make the joke or make the the callback. And it doesn't harp on it and whatnot. It just calls enough attention to itself to go, ha, see how clever I am. To the point where, but not where it does that. Not where it's like, ha, see how clever I am, but where it goes, where it allows you to see it just long enough that you can go, oh, wow, that was clever, and enough. Because once it tells you how clever it is, that's when it becomes too, hey, look at what we're doing for you, nostalgia, haha. So, there. what the fuck is a member berry? Says pandemonium. Just an insert for nostalgia. A member berry is just like a gimme, you know, like a reference to the old source material with the intention of dredging up nostalgia. So that's that. Also, real quick, Starfreakus, shout out to you because Starfreakus said something earlier, way earlier in the chat that set me off on one of my like stopping Last Jedi fans about this shit. And Starfreakus is still here participating enthusiastically in the conversation, demonstrating once again that the mindless mob is not actually mindless at all, but is full of very smart thinking people who are able to have rational conversations with each other and even yell and scream about it sometimes and still recognize that it's all in good fun because at the end of the day, we're just bullshitting about Star Wars. And we're here because love it or hate it, it's something we love to do together. That's the point. Again, it's all. You heard my rants over on Author Stephen Walton's channel earlier. It's all about love. Even us here disagreeing about the Mandalorian, bitching to each other about the Mandalorian. It's all about love. It's because we love Star Wars and because we love to talk about it. And we love to split hairs over it. And we love to show our Star Wars dicks over it and wave them around over that. We love this. It's all in service of love. And that's what, again, everyone else wants to tear us down and tell us how much they hate us and shit like that. That's what they don't get. They're the ones who are all about hate. They're all Rose Tico bullshit, hating what we love. We're the ones doing that. We're the ones actually out here preserving what we love by defining it, by discussing it, by letting it live on in our memories and making it fun. This is the way Star Wars was always fun. Was fans bickering about, is this new piece of Star Wars good or bad? Is this thing smart or stupid? Is this thing, clever or retarded?
The best one is it better than Star Trek? And everyone was like, yeah, Star Wars. That's the best geek argument. Star Wars is just Star Trek.
Absolutely.
Because it comes from a place of purity. One thing I wanted to address, somebody said something about Indiana Jones in the chat. I wanted to throw something at you real quick.
Okay.
Raiders or Temple of Doom is clearly the prequel because it says so at the opening that it's 1935. Do we ever know when they decided that it took place in 1935 and that it was a retroactive choice? Because nothing in the dialogue references.
I've always wondered that.
But because I think that movie was probably made with the intention of it's just a sequel. And then George was probably like, make it a prequel. It doesn't reference whatever. And people complain like, why can he do the gun joke? Because the movie might have been made as a direct sequel to Raiders of the Lost Ark and in an editing room like the fucking Battle of the Death Star. That scene is made in the editing room. Because the one thing
that doesn't track for me, the one thing that's never tracked for me with Temple of Doom being a prequel is after watching somebody get his heart ripped out while he's still alive, I feel like his level of skepticism about, Jewish mysticism is a little bit unwarranted. Like if these guys in this tribal, in this tribal place are able to use this magic, like, is it really that much more of a stretch to think one of the most major religions ever had, like, that there's actual magic going on?
Well, the rumor is that what the audience sees in Temple of Doom actually isn't happening. That shit they're drinking, they're all high, and we're on the trip with them. I don't, but that's a thing that actually used to happen. That black sleep of palate shit, like it's a real thing. So that's always been interesting. You can watch that movie as all this crazy shit's happening, and he gets out alive. Or you can take that other approach, like with Ferris Bueller. Cameron's not even Ferris isn't real. It's Cameron's imagination. Oh, this isn't really happening. They're just sacrificing a guy. He's not surviving. His heart isn't actually on fire. They're all high.
That said, though, in a situation like that, like, not knowing what you're taking and what it's doing to you, you don't really, as a person, have any way of separating whether what you experience is real or not. Like if you just got dosed with hallucinogens and you didn't know you were tripping balls, you would have no way of knowing how to parse reality from fiction.
Oh, I just meant like even before he's drugged, like they're watching it from a distance.
Oh, so they're seeing when they're not on drugs and like, what are these guys freaking out about?
I'm not saying that's in the movie at all. I'm just saying like, because of what they're actually doing to the people, and we know what it does to real people, like because it's a real thing that happened, you can always watch it under that lens, like because this is a real not scientific thing, but like whatever.
I don't like that. I think that's blah. Say what you want about Star Wars, just don't talk shit about wrestling.
Who said that?
Grand Moff Inquisitor. Don't know about wrestling, talk shit about it.
I thought he was talking to me. I was like, dude, where do we want to start? I could talk about wrestling all day.
Stratus Radio Blue says, wholeheartedly agree on criticism being an absolute need because have to apply pressure to change coal into diamond. Absolutely. I feel the word haters is the fourth most used word this decade, barely beaten by literally. Yeah, up there with actually.
Do those count as words since we've attributed just sounds? Onomatopoeia. Like it's just we're filling sound.
I think oppression probably has been up there too. We're offended. What
about Indiana Jones and the Jewish something? Let's just abuser. Oh,
why would he have been beaten over the head with Jewish stuff for the Holy Grail? Like,
no. What Chezro's trying to say is his father was obsessed with the hunt for the Grail and other artifacts more than him. So Indy isn't actually invested in the artifacts and the history of that one. It's like, I'm just looking for my dad. Like his last crusade and his Holy Grail is not the cup. It's his relationship with his dad becoming renewed and all that stuff. So I think that's what Chedro's just trying to say.
Oh, is that this was he
because
was into
Indiana Jones' motivation for the arc isn't to open it for science.
Yeah. No, that's fair. But Stratos Radio Blues, an excellent point, an excellent take. Very, very true. It's such a reductive thing too. That's again, people used to say that shit in high school. You're just being a hater. What does that mean? It's like racist light. Like now instead of saying someone's a racist, now you're just being a hater. It's not as inflammatory as calling them a racist, but it's just as reductive. Oh, you're a hater. It's just an excuse to say I refuse to acknowledge that your perspective has any merit because I like a thing you don't and aren't confident enough in my like of this thing to defend it on its merits. Andrew Clark says, my feed says the stream is over. Your feed is a lie. Just like the cake. But it's about to not be because I'm still tired.
I'm ready to go.
I feel like I'm still tired from this weekend. Like I still want to
because they don't know what we did this weekend.
They don't know what we did.
We'll never get to know.
But anyway, thank you guys for being here.
We basically lived in a hot tub for a weekend.
It was amazing.
Oh, excuse me, jacuzzi bathtub.
Jetted tub.
Yeah.
Thank you all for being here. It is always great to see every single one of you. And thank you for being part of such a lively and spirited discussion tonight. So,
I like Paul Otis in general. He's a cool dude, but Indiana Jones and the Medicare application. Before we go,
him and Joe Namath.
What's one Indiana Jones old people joke that you come just off the top of your head?
Indiana Jones and the Dentures of Doom.
Nice. Oh God, Indiana Jones and the Lost Social Security check.
Indiana Jones and the Den of Depends.
The Den of Depends is good.
Oh God.
Raiders of the Lost. Well, that wouldn't work. Because incontinence.
Raiders of the Lost Moving Band.
Indiana Jones, The Adventure of Why Won't My Son Visit Me?
Oh, God.
Indiana Jones and The Adventure of Why Will I Die Alone? I Saved the Planet.
Indiana Jones and the Twisted Maze of the Bed to the Toilet.
Indiana Jones and I've been fed up with this world after I've been betrayed by Short Round.
Indiana Jones and the Adventures of installing a shower seat.
Indiana Jones and the Shower Rail of Doom. It's just, that's what we need. We need a really old actor to commit, and we need to get him just in the hat, and it's just a video. Our short film is an old man in a walker to the Indiana Jones theme. Dun, 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 dun. It's just him walking into this handicapped bathroom. That's all it is. And it's the whole song, the whole 5-minute Raiders March with the Marion interlude and everything, and then he trips and falls and dies at the end.
Oh my God.
That's how Indiana Jones dies. Not Nazis, not supernatural shit, not God himself, nothing. The bathroom. He fell in the tub.
Indiana Jones and the Adventures of Realizing What My Dad Was Right About All Along.
Indiana Jones and the Hip Replacement of Doom.
Raiders of the Lost Fart. That's a good one.
It won't be lost for long.
Raiders of My Black Ass.
Oh.
Indiana Jones. He belongs in a museum.
He does. And The Quest for My Plane.
Oh, God.
Oh, well, Star Freakus clearly likes WCBS the podcast. You have great taste. See, I would actually, folks, plug for the Twitch channel. I've been playing Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb on not WCBS Gaming, on Mindless BS Gaming. So Xbox has a new update. It might have fixed the microphone problem, but we've been having issues because the system has issues. So we haven't been able to do the camera directly and the microphone and stuff. Once we get that worked out, once Microsoft gets that worked out, then we'll be on camera doing more. But join us over there, subscribe, all that fun stuff, because I did Indiana Jones Let's Play for like 90 minutes the other day. Gonna go through the whole game. It looks fantastic for a 17-year-old video game. Plus, it's fun to talk about Indiana Jones. So, yeah, check us out. Now, Jesse, we have acquired some new games for the Twitch channel.
Mm-hmm.
You are going to be playing through Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right now.
I'm going to be playing through Resident Evil 2. Those are both
Nice.
on Xbox. And over on the WCBS gaming channel, I'll be playing Call of Duty with Dion and the guys and stuff. The new Call of Duty. And then we also have Watch Dogs Legion, who's super cheap. So we'll be playing that as well.
Mm-hmm.
All Xbox Series X. And we have Borderlands 3.
Yeah.
So we have a lot that we're going to be playing. I didn't want to forget to promote the Twitch channel.
Oh yeah. So we'll be playing this week, next couple weeks as well. We'll be getting together a more regular schedule in the new year. And
the New Year's one, you're going to really see a lot of new growth and exciting stuff from us because we have a lot of plans.
A lot of stuff going on in the new year. It's Indiana Jones in the Temple of Retirement. Indiana Jones in the Office of Retirement.
I want him to be trying to quit his job, and they're like, "No, Dr. Jones, we need you to stay." You know, blah blah. And his whole argument is, "I belong in a museum," and all this shit. He just keeps arguing how it is.
Raiders of the DMV, where he has to go and try to get his license back because he loses it after getting in too many accidents.
No, he crashed too many planes. So they took his license as just a dick move. Like the government's like, "Yeah, we've trusted you with secrets, nuclear stuff. You can't drive a car anymore. You're too dangerous behind the wheel of any vehicle."
Oh my god. But yeah, definitely stay tuned for that. So someone was saying, where am I on Twitch? I am on just Mindless BS Gaming. That's our joint Twitch. So I'm just on that Twitch channel. That is our joint one. And yes, so we just figured why, do things separately when we could just do them together.
We also have a Nintendo Switch and all the games, so we need to really play Mario Kart with Anna and Mecca.
True story. Yeah, we just figured, like, instead of Jeff having his own Twitch and me having my own Twitch and us having a joint Twitch, it just made more sense to have a Twitch together where he plays games and I play games. I plays games and we play games together.
I mean, the only reason we have the WCBS one is because there's just other guys too.
Other guys.
Yeah. So it's fun being on both. I get the best of both worlds. It's like being in the Fandom Menace and being a world-class bullshitter. And I guess now part of the Mindless Mob.
That's right. Mindless Mob indeed. Mindless Mob for the win. But thank you guys for being here. We're going to put out the Chronicus and then say a good night to you all. Thank you for being such amazing fans. The Mindless Mob is the absolute best. And join us back on Thursday where hopefully Ryan will be able to make it work to join us and talk to Mando. Otherwise, we'll be there anyway. You can also find me tomorrow, 3 p.m. now. We're at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. You should be on my channel tomorrow for the matriarchy with me and Anna. That's so girl. We're going to have a blast. So to everyone, good night. Oh, we got a super second Raging Rhino. It's a fist bump there. That's our buddy Rhino. And thank you, sir. The rest of you, remember, practice makes wrong. And God Emperor.